Welcome to Worthy of Love, the podcast for ambitious, self-aware women who desire to deeply connect to healthy love. Whether you're single or in a relationship already, this show is here to help you slow down, reconnect with your body, and to help you realize that you are capable and worthy of cultivating and maintaining healthy love, even if you have a history of toxic relationships. I am your host, Cilia. I'm a certified relationship coach and a certified female sexuality coach, and I am so grateful that you are here. Now let's get into the show. Today we are joined by Lucy Newport. Lucy Newport is a binge eating recovery coach who supports highly sensitive women in healing their relationship with food and self-worth. As a highly sensitive person herself, she struggled with binge eating and anxiety for 14 years. And now, through grounded coaching and embodied insight, she guides others to honor their sensitive nature as a strength and to reconnect with their inner safety, needs, and enoughness, especially in their relationship with themselves. And I am so excited to have you on here because the relationship with ourselves and the relationship with food has such a ripple effect in relationships. And welcome to the show, Lucy.
Yay! Thank you so much, Cilia. So lovely to be here.
Yes. And we had an episode. Do you remember what year that was? That in 2021? Was it that long ago? 2022, probably.
I looked it up the other day. It was September 2023, I think.
23. Okay.
I
For
think.
some reason, it feels like it was in 2022, but 2023 actually makes sense. So before we start our conversation about the relationship with food, the relationship with self, and kind of like high sensitivity and what that is and how highly sensitive people can have a healthy relationship with themselves, I'm just curious, as you come into this conversation, what's on your heart today?
Oh, my heart is feeling a lot lighter than it was yesterday. I think yesterday I
Mm-hmm.
was going through some things. I was feeling a lot of pressure and going through some moments of why am I here? Why isn't this coming together? You know, those kind of
Mm,
holes you can find yourself in sometimes. But this morning I woke up feeling so much lighter and so excited for this conversation. And I've had a really nice slow day. I went for a lovely walk at lunchtime and the sun was out and I just feel good. I feel so different from yesterday, and there's nothing particularly that I did yesterday to put me in this different state. Sometimes you just need to go through those
yeah.
motions and just be with it, and the next day you do wake up feeling like, what was all that about yesterday? We're good. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so relatable. And you're right. It's important to allow ourselves to just feel that, to like when we're creatives and we're entrepreneurs and we're, working towards a goal, we don't always see the like visible results as fast as we want.
Mm.
And it can be tough. I totally relate to that. And when we allow ourselves to feel that for a day, sometimes that's all we needed to feel better the next day.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that I used to experience a lot more, like in the past, but as I've
Yeah.
gotten used to the ups and downs of, like you said, this entrepreneurial journey and being a creative, I'm able to go with those ups and downs a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, yesterday was an interesting one.
Mm-hmm. There are also like two sides of the same coin, this being creative and then kind of like, I don't know if you relate to what was coming up for you yesterday, if you can relate that to fear.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very rooted in
Yeah. It's
fear.
like
Yeah.
fear of, is this going to work out? Yeah. Those are two sides of the same coin. And I'm currently rereading Big Magic. I told you about that in our emails.
Yeah.
And the first kind of section, the book is in sections instead of chapters. The first section talks about courage and talks about how when you're a creative person, fear is a part of creativity. And as long as we allow ourselves to feel the fear and not let the fear have the driver's seat, like
Mm,
not let ourselves make decisions out of the fear, then our creativity can be nourished and be something that we can, harness and still move forward with. And
mm,
on the opposite side of that, if we were to pretend we're not scared and, get rid of our fear and try to be fearless, then our creativity dies. That's what she says in the book. And I'm like, huh, that's a very interesting
mm.
take. Yeah.
That is very interesting. Something that I've realized over the last few years, and I used to really struggle with anxiety. It's a very big thing for me, and I was very fearful. When I feel the fear, it's really not as scary as I always thought it would be. And I'm always
Mm-hmm.
surprised at when I'm actually with it, how okay I am with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can totally relate. I'm always like, huh, my brain made this a way bigger deal than it actually
Yeah,
is.
and all of that that I was going through in terms of trying to avoid it and just
Yeah.
everything. It just made such a big meal out of it when it actually doesn't need to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
and we
actually
free up
quite
so
like,
much. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I actually quite like feeling the fear these days. It just reminds me that I'm alive and I'm doing
Yeah.
things and I'm putting myself out there in the ways that I want to, and I'm growing through that, and that's what I'm here for. So,
I love that because, in my opinion, that shows self acceptance because we all have fear. And when we're in a space of, typically for entrepreneurs, we are people who are very well versed with the self development world. And in the self-development world, typically they say things that like fear is negative or, there are sides of humanity that are labeled as negative. And when we can get to a place where, like you said, you enjoy feeling the fear, in my opinion, that shows a kind of like going against that whole narrative of labeling any part of you as negative, because
mm,
all of those facets of being human, they aren't good or bad, they just are. And when we allow ourselves to feel all of those facets, then we become more whole and we become more, we step into what you said of like really realizing, like, oh, I'm actually okay. I'm good.
yeah. Yes, I absolutely, yeah, relate and agree.
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
And so before we go off on a tangent with this, I feel like this can be very relatable to highly sensitive people of, having all of these, fears and anxieties come up. And I would love for you to describe to me what you define a highly sensitive person as and how someone listening can know and identify themselves as a highly sensitive person.
Yes. So a highly sensitive person is someone whose nervous system is more sensitive, attuned to and receptive of what is going on in the world around them, but also what's happening within them. In terms of the term highly sensitive person and sensory processing sensitivity, which is another name given to the same thing, it's thought that around 20% of the population is highly sensitive, and that's split equally, roughly, between men and
Only
women.
20%.
20%, yes.
Wow. Huh.
I know. Yeah. Do you relate to being a highly sensitive person? I
I
feel you
do. And I'm
do.
like, no
Yes.
wonder. Like, I felt a lot like, huh, I don't know if I belong in this world. If
Yes. Which
it's
is
only
such,
20%, that makes total sense.
yeah, that's such a common highly sensitive person feeling as well. Like, oh, I don't feel like I fit in here. And this sensitivity, like I said, is to everything that's going on in the world around us. So it's a sensitivity to the people that you're with and what they're going through and picking up on other people's emotions, its sensitivity to light and textures. Quite a common thing for highly sensitive people to be like really aware of what they're wearing, or if there's like a scratchy label,
Mm,
not being able to put
yes.
that out of their minds. Being sensitive to what's happening in nature, being able to go on a walk and notice that a flower has just come out that wasn't there yesterday. All the things that go on around us. And then that internal world, being more sensitive and attuned to sensations in your body. So sensations like hunger or sexual pleasure or aches and pains, but then also the impacts of your thoughts and the way that dreams affect you, all the levels of
Hmm.
the things that are going on in your body, having this deeper connection to something that is very common in highly sensitive people, and something that I really relate to is that when we get overwhelmed, which can happen quite easily, we tend to shut off our senses and feel as though we're kind of less sensitive because we're
Mm.
protecting ourselves from this this sensitivity, which can feel a lot. So there's an acronym that often is used to describe what it's like being a highly sensitive person, and that is DOES. So the D stands for
Does?
DOES. So DOES.
Okay.
And the D stands for depth
I
of
feel like I need to write
processing.
this down.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go for it.
Okay. Does. All right. What does the D
So
stand for?
the D is this depth of processing. So it is taking on, firstly, all this information and then processing it at a deeper level than those who are seen to be the typical people. Though I'm not really sure who these typical people are, because
That's a good
everyone's
point.
got, yeah, that's a whole other point. But um,
Yeah.
this depth of processing, it's not just noticing, oh, my manager is in a good mood today. It's noticing, oh, she's in a good mood, and this thing happened last week and she wasn't in such a great mood, and maybe something here is connected, and just really like piecing together all these bits of information that we're
Mm-hmm.
receiving and processing them at a deeper level. So with MRI scans, when researchers look at highly sensitive people, they see parts of their brain are lighting up a lot more than people who aren't considered highly sensitive. So there's a whole lot more brain activity going on in our heads just for all these everyday things. Highly
Mm-hmm.
sensitive people are often called overthinkers because of this.
Mm.
And maybe
Mm-hmm.
you've thought of yourself as an overthinker, or maybe you've been called that by other people. I definitely have. So that's
Yes.
the D. The
Okay.
O is overstimulation, and that's our ability to be overstimulated more quickly and more easily than other people are. So something that is quite stimulating, maybe like a concert, that might be quite stimulating to lots of people, but a highly sensitive person will become more stimulated by it more quickly, which can
Mm-hmm.
lead to this overstimulation because you've got all this information and you're trying to process it, and it's a lot. And that's why highly sensitive people often need lots of downtime and alone time and the tools to help them regulate themselves, because overstimulation is such a big thing for us.
Yes.
Yes.
I feel that with social media. I'm like, every time I
Oh,
try to start posting again on Instagram, I open the app and I'm just like, oh, this is too much. Or I'll create content and then because I'm on the app and I've just posted something, I get like sucked into the scroll and I'm like, this is too much.
oh, totally. I just spent 14 months off Instagram, and I've just started a couple of weeks ago posting again. And I was saying this to my mum the other day. I was like, I hate it. It's too much.
Yeah.
Because likewise, you go on, you post something and you're sucked in and
Yeah.
you just have to watch three reels and you've been given so much information that you're taking in
Yeah.
at that deeper
Oh,
level.
I'm tired
It's,
even thinking about it.
yeah, me too. It's a lot.
That's also why
Um,
I don't have TikTok. I cannot.
hmm Yeah, yeah. I had an experience with TikTok. It's probably coming up to 2 years ago, and it was way too much, and it completely overwrought my whole system. And I uninstalled it, and I have not touched it since that day
Yeah.
because I just thought that this is way too damaging, and there's no point in
Yes.
even trying to create some kind of relationship that's supporting within some way because I don't think it'll happen.
Hmm. Yeah, and something that I think is helpful with that is like because as business owners, we kind of think we have to be on Instagram or even TikTok because TikTok tends to have more reach and like TikTok tends to be something that like you can be like your visibility can really grow because you'll get a lot of followers. Something that's helped me that I've recently learned is that the type of attention you get on TikTok specifically, Instagram too, but TikTok is worse, is it's not a very deep attention. It's a very like quick, shallow attention where someone will watch it and then just scroll. Whereas something like YouTube, for example, is longer, you're going more in depth with something, and the person that is attracted to that is actually you have their deep attention rather than a short attention. They're sitting there, they're really investing into listening to what you have to say. And in my opinion, like that's for me that's a more valuable thing to invest in, that kind of like longer form stuff.
Mm,
So yeah, that's what I'm currently leaning into.
absolutely. What's the point in trying to get lots of likes and watches if it's not turning into something, if it's just entertainment for someone rather
Yeah.
than taking them on that deeper journey and giving them the thing that they actually need.
Hmm.
So yeah, very
And
much
I
with you.
totally relate with your experience on TikTok too. I I downloaded it probably 5 years ago now. I think it was in 2020. And I spent 5 hours straight on there. 5 hours straight. And I
Yeah.
and I realized it at the end of the 5 hours. I'm like, whoa, I have to pee. I'm hungry. I'm tired. This is awful. And I deleted it and I have not been on it since.
Wow.
I have
That is
I have
such
an
a long
account
time.
with my I have an account with my handle so that no one makes an account with my name, and that's it. There's nothing on there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, my account still exists, my binge food worthy one. There's just nothing has been posted for 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh.
Okay, so the O is overstimulation. What
Overstimulation.
is the E?
The E stands for both emotional reactivity and empathy. So this experience of being very emotionally moved by things. And I think this is often where people get told the phrase, you're too sensitive because we have this emotional reactivity to things. And on the
Hmm.
empathy side, it's this very caring, moved by what other people are going through part of us. And again, when you look at brain scans of people that are highly sensitive, we have more what's called mirror neurons in, again, parts of our brains where
Mm.
so everyone has them. It's part of our learning where we see what someone else is doing, we see reactions in their face, and we mimic them as as a part of like relating to one another. It's a really
Hmm.
helpful thing to have. And highly sensitive people have more of these mirror neurons, and they're very much in tune with what someone is giving off in terms of facial expressions and also, just that sense that you're getting from someone when you walk into a room. with someone. I know every highly sensitive person will have experienced that, where you know what mood someone is in just by walking
Yes.
into a room, and you're like, oh, this is nice. This is a space I want to be in. Or you're very much like, oh God, what have I walked
Yeah.
into?
Oh my gosh, I feel so seen by this conversation so far.
You're definitely a highly sensitive.
Yeah. Something, an example that I know I do with this not motor, mirror neurons. Motor neurons is something else. With this mirror neuron thing and mimicking people, I noticed if I have a podcast guest on that says the word like a lot, like when they're like, oh my God, like this, then I start talking like that too in the recording. And I'm like, why am I saying like so many times? I don't really talk like that. But when I'm in conversation with someone who has that habit, I start doing that because I used to say it a lot.
Mm.
I kind of revert back because I'm mirroring them.
Yes, totally. Yeah, it's that experience of being like a chameleon with whoever you're around. You're picking up on these things that they do, and you're mirroring that back to them.
Hmm. Yeah.
That saying the word like is something that I'm very conscious of at the moment, and I listened to a part of our recording from before because I wanted to hear what we spoke about just to make sure that I wasn't repeating myself too much. And the amount of times I said like is ridiculous.
I wonder if it was because of me. I wonder if I was saying it a lot and you were mirroring me.
And then maybe we were mirroring one another and it was just getting worse and worse.
Oh, that's funny.
It's so
That's
funny
funny.
because I don't speak like that, but I thought maybe I was also a little bit nervous, so that might be something that I was saying as a protection,
Yeah.
or saying the word like gives you a seconds more pause to think of what you're going to say or something. I don't know, but
Hmm.
I thought that was
Hmm.
quite funny.
Well, I will link that episode in the caption and show notes below, and please don't judge us
Please.
for how many times we say like.
Oh,
Yeah. And the emotional reactivity that you said that this is the part where, and the empathy where this is the part where people usually get told that you're too sensitive. I completely relate to that too. Um, I remember there was this commercial for the Olympics one year, and it was basically showing a mother taking their kid to soccer practice and like early mornings and all this stuff that a mom was doing for this child growing up, and then it's showing that kid grow up, and then it shows that person as an adult at the Olympics with the mom in the crowd cheering them on. And I guess it was around Mother's Day. I don't know when the Olympics usually is, but it was a commercial about, it was like saying, I said like it was saying thank you mom, something like that, and it made me cry, and like my eyes are even like watering. I'm like, that is such a sweet advertisement. I love it so much. Things like that really get me.
yes, I know. It's this ability to be moved by things, and maybe it's you might notice that you're really moved by a piece of music or a piece of poetry we'll
Yes,
get to. And this is what I feel is one of actually the biggest gifts of being a highly sensitive person, is that you
I've learned to
can
love
be,
it.
yes,
Yeah,
what a blessing that you can listen to a
yeah,
song and be so utterly moved by it that your heart is wrenching or bursting open, and you get to experience all of that
yes,
just from a song.
yes. It's like you're more alive.
Mm.
My eyes are leaking.
Leaky
Okay,
eyes.
so what does the S stand for in our DOES acronym?
So it's quite similar to the first one, but it's sensing the subtle. So it is really being aware of those subtleties, and coming back to that example of nature, maybe being very aware of when the season is just on the cusp of changing or when something is ripening. Being highly sensitive is thought to be an evolutionary benefit. It's thought that we have this percentage of our population as being highly sensitive beings because we can be the ones that are sensing the subtle and are picking up on, is it safe to stay here for the night? Are there predators
Mm,
around? Do we need to be aware of something and make precautions for something? Or we need food, and are these berries gonna be ripe? And it's the highly sensitive people that are able to pick up on, okay, this is safe to eat. Or the change in the season and needing to move to a different place, all these things that we don't really have to think about now with our current
yeah,
lifestyle, but back in a time where we were very much dependent on our environment and what was happening in it, being highly sensitive would have really supported the community that we were part of. And when researchers look at highly sensitivity in other animals, they found that pretty much every type of animal has a percentage. And again, it's around that
that's
20%
so cool.
mark that have this
Yeah.
this high sensitivity. So that's the current thinking around why it is, and it makes absolute sense. And although we're not living in times like that anymore, for better or worse, it's still so much within it that we can benefit from. Like we're saying, being able to be moved by things and all this creativity that can come through picking up on these subtle things, being able to read people in this way in our work. This is such a helpful thing to have,
Mm-hmm.
ability to
Mm-hmm.
have, and being in situations in life where maybe things do start to feel a little bit dangerous, you can pick up on those early cues and think, okay, we need to take ourselves out of the situation. Like there's so much that we can receive and gain from our sensitivity when we allow it and when we allow ourselves to attune to it.
Mm. Yeah. I love that kind of I feel like what you did right here was kind of framing sensitivity as strength and something that is useful to the collective. And what this also brought up for me is some curiosity and like, now I'm so aware what I'm saying. Like,
I'm not judging you. I will
that's
say
good.
it many
No, it's
times.
good. It's a good thing. But I wonder if in the future, if we'll have a more clear understanding of moving away from labeling people as normative and instead having maybe all these different archetypes of the highly sensitive person. This was their role back in tribal times. And maybe we'll have more of an understanding of why humans are so different. And maybe we'll have different categories. And maybe that'll be a thing in the future. I don't know if that makes sense.
That's so
Because
interesting. That
even,
makes total sense.
yeah, even things like we have a couple friend back in California who they have two sons and their oldest son has autism. And we were hanging out with them and having lunch, and we were just so fascinated by this child because you can tell he was very aware and very smart, and you can see his problem solving skills, and he just seemed so brilliant. And I know that that's a spectrum. They're completely different um, manifestations of being on the autism spectrum. And there's a lot of brilliance on that spectrum
Mm,
that maybe it's seen more now, but it's also not really seen all the time. And I feel like that'll go off on a tangent, and I am not an expert on autism, but that's another example of maybe that archetype we're going to have of people with this kind of mind had this role, People who have ADHD had this role in the tribe. People, I feel like in the future, maybe we'll have more of an understanding of that. And I am
Mm.
fascinated to read about that one day.
Yes, can't wait. And that's
Yes.
so true. And diversity is something that's essential to life. And it's easy
Yes.
for us to see it in nature and understand that we need a diversity in the food we grow because it's beneficial to the soil and to our health. But in humans, in us, I think we're getting better at it, but we still struggle to see the benefit of having this diversity. And when you can understand that, it's easier to rest into your own gifts. It's easier to see your own
Yeah.
place within the community rather than feeling like you have to fit every box.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
that's been something that's been really big for me, being like okay, I don't have to be everyone. This is my
Yeah.
role. This is actually what I'm really good at naturally. And I can learn to be with my sensitivity better. I can learn how to use my gifts as a sensitive better. And I don't have to try and force myself to excel in other areas. So, one thing that's always been a hang up for me is that I don't retain information very well. I'm not an academic by any
Hmm.
means. And I've always really struggled with this because I'm very interested in the world and what's going on. And I love learning. I really love learning.
Hmm.
And I will take on things that are relevant to me personally and things that I put into practice. And, in the work that I teach, that's all very much readily available to me because it's what I'm processing and going through and teaching and coaching people on all the time. But in terms of other things, it just does not stay in my brain at all. And I would love it to. But I've really
Hmm.
learned that, okay, it doesn't have to. That's fine. It doesn't need to be
Yeah.
any other way than what it is.
I love that self-acceptance and how you said relaxing into our gifts. I think those were the words you used. Um, because on this show, I love talking about healthy relationships, and I feel like this is the key to being able to cultivate healthy relationships is relaxing into the truth of who you are. And I would love to know what you think are some of the strengths that a highly sensitive person brings into relating with other people. Like, how does being highly sensitive affect our relationships? And also, because you're a binge eating coach, how does that affect our relationship with food as well? Kind
Yeah.
of
So
tie
the
it into
first
what
part
we
of your
both do.
question, yeah. Thank you. Excellent. The first part of your question in terms of relating to other people. There's a teacher that I really love. She's called Asia Sula, and something that's really stuck with me is that she says, as a highly sensitive person, you are here to help bring the world back to its senses, and you do that simply by being yourself. And I
I
just
love
feel
that.
like I know it just feels so good to hear that. And I think because as well, highly sensitive people have such, again, this hang up that they're not doing enough because they get overwhelmed by things and they need to be everything to everyone because we can often be people pleasers because we want everyone to feel good and have what they need and have their needs met. So that last part of you do this just by being yourself feels so nourishing and so wonderful and helps us feel so seen.
Hmm.
But in terms of more kind of relating one on one, being a highly sensitive person and having all these empathic abilities, you are able to be attuned to someone on a much deeper level than maybe those typical, again, who are they? People.
Yeah.
And this can be a gift and a curse in some ways, because if you don't know how to honor your sensitivity and tend to your needs and make sure you do have that time to really come back to yourself, you can become emotionally enmeshed with someone. And that's not a place you particularly want to be, where you feel like you can only be happy when they're happy, or when they're in a
Mm.
bad mood or they're angry at something, you're also going through that motions. But having the ability to really attune to yourself and your own sensitivity and really regulate yourself, you then get to emit this out. You get to radiate this out and then have that impact on other people. And I think that's such a lovely, lovely flip side to that ability to really support other people by resourcing yourself and being attuned
Yes.
to all of that within yourself. And that's something that I've really got in these last couple of years in terms of learning
Yeah.
about being a highly sensitive person. I think that's such a helpful thing to
Mm-hmm.
know. And I think lots of us have this feeling that we have to, oh, I kind of lost my thread then. We have this feeling that we have to do things in order to help people. We have to take on things. We have to be really helpful. We have to go above and beyond for lots of different people, when really everyone benefits the most when we ourselves are regulated and attuned and we're able to
Yeah.
bring that sense outwards.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in terms of relating to people, again, lots of being highly sensitive, you've really got the two sides. So there's the side that's kind of the sticky, oh, this isn't so great, and the side that once you kind of understand yourself as a highly sensitive person, you've got this really great thing going on for you. And another one of these is conflicts, and highly sensitive people really tend to struggle with conflict. We tend to avoid at all costs. We're the people that'll try and make the peace and brush over everything so that we don't have to deal with it, and avoid scary conversations. And that's not really very helpful long term
Yeah.
to
And that's where
anyone.
what you said earlier with the like learning how to regulate ourselves, that's where that really helps. Because
Yes.
it can
Yeah.
be it makes it a bit easier to have those confrontations and to be
Yes. Yeah.
grounded during conflict.
Yes. Because when you can regulate yourself and ground yourself, and when you can be so in tune with what's going on within you, and you can communicate that, again, that's a whole skill that we
Yeah.
get to practice. When you can communicate that, you're in such a good position to be able to really share from your heart what it is that you're going through. And again, that's something that I see as such a gift of being a highly sensitive, is having those deeper conversations and being able to feel what is happening with you, and share that with another person. And it can create those really deep bonds and that deep vulnerability and trust that comes with
Mm-hmm.
sharing in that way.
Mm-hmm. It
Looking,
sounds like anyone that gets to be in a relationship with a highly sensitive person, and I'm probably biased, is very lucky.
they are very lucky. And if you are on board, if you understand what a highly sensitive person is, and I'm talking about someone being a partner here of a highly sensitive person, and if you can help your partner to recognize when they are overwhelmed, when they need to take that time for themselves, and you understand the workings of a highly sensitive person, you massively get to benefit as well, because you are receiving all of that insight and wisdom and regulation and just everything that you are receiving from your partner. And yeah,
Hmm.
like you said, you're very lucky if you get to be in a relationship with a highly sensitive person.
Yeah. So then how does that, so that we talked about relationships kind of at the grander scale and then one-on-one. What about the relationship with food? What what makes the relationship with food kind of a more unique journey for someone who is a highly sensitive person?
Yes. So highly sensitive people can have this vulnerability to having challenges with food. Again, it's that two sides of the same coin. There's this vulnerability, but there's this also potential to have these really deep,
To be a
nurturing,
foodie.
nourishing, be a foodie, wonderful relationship with food. And people who find themselves like myself down that binge eating route, it's often because if we come back to that DOES acronym, this depth of processing, the world around us is full of all of these messages about what a woman should look like, how a woman's body should look, what a desirable woman is, weight loss tips, all of this information, like we say, you go on Instagram, you're bombarded by it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot for anyone. And then if you've got this depth of processing and you're taking all this information in and you're relating it to yourself and make it mean something about yourself, you've got this more susceptibility to think, okay, if this is what my body should look like, I need to do something about that, and I'm going to go on this diet. And this feeling like you're not good enough, feeling like you need to change yourself in order to be more lovable and acceptable. This is the biggest route that people find themselves when they come to
Mm.
binge eating.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where the food restriction then comes into play, and ignoring your body's needs until you get to this point where you, you know, your body just needs food, and so you have that binge. That overstimulation, again, coming back to does, food is a wonderful way to regulate our bodies. If we can reach out and eat something and have that moment of relief from what we're experiencing, then
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes we're going to do that. And if we learn that you eat something comforting, it's usually these sugary, salty, high carbohydrate, high fat foods that do have this effect on our nervous system, that do help us to feel grounded and comforted, then yeah, we are going to reach for those foods and soothe ourselves in that way. And again, the emotional reactivity and empathy, if we're taking on um, all of these things are taking in, and that's moving us emotionally, and that feels really uncomfortable because oftentimes it does. And again, food is going to be a source of soothing and comfort, and the sensing, the subtle, again, all of this information we're taking in. And so I don't want to give the message at all that lots of highly sensitive people are going to struggle with their relationship with food, because that's not
Mm.
necessarily the case, but there is definitely this vulnerability to fall
Yeah.
into this hole with binge eating. What was the
And
what was your
when you're
question again?
talking about, I have a thought to add. When you're talking about
Yes.
women too, I feel like the relation having a complicated relationship with food is such a common thing. It's so common.
It's
I
so
saw this
common.
thing the other day. It was it might have been stand-up comedy. I like to watch stand-up comedy a lot. And what's cool about stand-up comedy is people will talk about their struggles that they've gone through and they like turn it
Mm,
into a joke. I'm like, wow, that's so therapeutic. And someone was talking about how this man online was talking about having a an eating disorder. And the joke she made, I don't remember the exact words, so it's not going to be funny the way I say it, but the joke she made was that's why is he stealing uh, the traumas from womanhood or something like that. And I don't know how she worded it, but the reason why it was funny is because jokes are funny when they have a sense of truth to them. Like, oh,
Hmm.
that's so true. Like for women, it's such a common thing to struggle with food because, like you said, we get those. We're bombarded with images of this is what a woman should look like. This is what a desirable body is, and then we kind of get into this thing like, oh, if I want to be more lovable, I have to look like that. And I'd like to think that that has gotten better because there's definitely a lot more like body positivity around now versus, when we were growing up.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, what was my question? You asked me what my question was. Do you have any thoughts to add before I share the question again?
No.
Okay, just
Other
in
than,
case.
yeah, no, no, go on. Go.
So I think the question I asked you was what is unique about a highly sensitive person's relationship to food. And I noticed you were going through the acronym and
Hmm.
so now you're at S, sensing the subtle.
Sensing the subtle. And yes, all of this extra information that we're taking in around food and what it means, and maybe that's someone making a comment about something they're eating, and then you're picking up on that, and again, making that mean something about yourself when it wasn't even about yourself. Um, yes, this, like you were saying, all this information that we're constantly surrounded by. And I hope you're right. I hope that things are getting a little bit better. There is a lot more positivity out there, but I feel like there's still an awful lot of pressure as well to
Hmm.
adhere to looking a certain way. It's such a hard one.
I wonder too how different that is for me being in the US versus like you being, on the other side of the ocean. Um, because having family in Germany, I know that in Germany, people will say something if you're overweight. They will judge you.
Mm.
And like whereas in America, it's like, yeah, people will judge you, but it's more common now to go into a store and to see more variety and diversity of sizing and to see a more variety and diversity even online for clothing brands where there'll be different body sizes and even ages. Like I've noticed that some of the websites that I like to shop from like over time has gotten more diverse and there'll be a woman with gray hair or a bunch of different body types, not just like growing up in America in the 90s, and I wonder if it was the same in the UK. The body type back then was like very unhealthily skinny.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking like that
Same here.
Y2K heroin chic, like that was not healthy.
No, that was not healthy. And I feel like the aesthetic that people try to attain now is definitely more healthy than that, but it's still this you are only worthy and lovable and
Yeah.
acceptable if you look this way.
Yeah. And
Um,
sometimes that popular aesthetic falls even into something you can only achieve with surgery.
yes. Yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
that's not healthy or helpful. Here in the UK, people are a lot more polite. You very rarely get a pointed comment directly to you about your weight, but people often have conversations about other people. Or we
Mm,
have a lot of internalized. We will talk about our own bodies a lot more than we will
mm.
criticize someone else's. And like I said before, we then make that mean something about ourselves. If I'm talking to someone at work and they're commenting on someone else's body, I'm thinking, oh gosh, they're saying that about their body. What are they thinking about mine? So
Yeah.
it's more that way over here, which I
Okay.
don't know if it's yeah, in its own way, that's not great. I'm glad we're not walking around shaming people though, because that sounds horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I was going to ask you, how does a highly sensitive person heal their relationship with food? What's unique about that? I think we might have covered that a bit, because you were talking about earlier, like leaning back into your gifts. I'm sure that's something that helps. I wonder if there's anything you'd like to add into having that self acceptance as a highly sensitive person, and how maybe that can help with a relationship with food that doesn't
Yes.
feel good.
Yeah, definitely. So working through this myself with my own relationship with food and my body and learning that I'm highly sensitive as well and how that played into everything. And then I'm a few years now into my coaching journey and working with other women and other highly sensitive women and seeing how all this fits together. And there's 6 principles that I now use a lot in my work. And the first one is really just about creating safety within yourself. So the first 3 principles have nothing to do with food, even though it's binge eating recovery that people come to me for help with, because
Mhm.
this is what is actually going on behind those eating patterns. So
Mm.
the first one is really being able to bring yourself into a regulated state and obviously not expecting yourself to be calm and regulated and not thrown by things, not at all, because that's not the reality of life, but being able to having these practices, I call them body-based practices. I don't know what you refer to them as, but I know we're both very much on the same
Yes,
page
I do.
with these things where you're not just learning about something, you're having a very visceral, real experience. You're putting your body into that state, that rest and digest state, that regulated place, because without that, when you are coming to the food aspects, you will just feel like you're fighting yourself because you'll be maybe trying to set a boundary with someone, or say you're um, working with normalizing foods that you tend to binge on. So often in binge eating recovery, it's not a very exciting word. I don't really like the word normalizing, but there'll be foods that you restrict. So you
Yeah.
avoid eating them. And then over time, this desire to eat them builds up and up and up until you eventually give in and you have a binge. And if you're trying to normalize these foods, but you're feeling a lot of fear around this and it doesn't feel like something that is safe for you to do, that's going to be really hard to actually do those more mechanical steps in recovery if your nervous system is constantly inflamed and feels like it's got to fight against something. So that's very much the starting point, is being able to have these tools to regulate yourself and bring yourself back to this place. The second principle is really tending to yourself as a highly sensitive person. So, like this conversation we've been having, really getting to know what it means to be a highly sensitive, what that means for you, what that means for your relationship with food, what that means for the way you relate to other people, all of it, and what it is that you need as a highly sensitive. So maybe you need to, be better with your boundaries and making sure that you are giving yourself the time and space that you need to yourself rather than always giving it to others or feeling like you should be doing more because that's what other people are doing.
Mhm.
So, that's not going to be really beneficial for someone who is highly sensitive and going through or experiencing a binge eating disorder. The third one is all about connecting to your innate worth. And just as we are talking about before, when we're picking up on all of these messages and we're believing that we're only lovable and worthy and enough when we look a certain way, there's that aspect, but there's also all the other aspects of our worth. And I'm only lovable, acceptable when I'm successful, or I'm only lovable, acceptable when I'm in this role to this person. It's detaching from all of that and really connecting to that innate worth that's within you, that is within all of us, that is unwavering, unchanging. There is nothing that you could do to dampen that worth. It's just there, it just is. So, really connecting to this
Mm.
so that you can then build a more healthy sense of self-worth on top of that, because that really is the root, the what is at
Yeah.
the base of
Yeah.
binge eating and binge eating disorders. You can't not address that. You can
Yeah.
say, okay, I'm not going to diet, I'm going to try and have a more healthy relationship with food, and that is wonderful, and yes, but also without addressing this root cause, it's only going to take you so far. And this is such a big one because this worthiness wound, this piece is at the core of most of our challenges. It's not
Yes.
something that
Yeah.
you read a book about and you're like, cool, I've got it. This is
Yeah.
great,
All
I'm
right, I'm
worthy.
worthy now.
Yeah, this is
Yeah, you
something
can't
that'll,
just understand it in your brain, like you have to feel it in your body.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's again where those body-based practices are so helpful to actually experience that. Um,
Mhm.
So then once we've set that groundwork, then getting more into the food side and unraveling the binge cycles. And this is like the very practical binge eating recovery work. This is the what you would probably work on if you were to see your doctor or GP about binge eating. You wouldn't get so much of a look in on those other foundational pieces. You would be told, okay, you need to make sure that you're nourishing your body and that you're eating enough energy, enough calories, enough nutrients throughout the day.
Mhm.
And you would do that work on normalizing those foods and um having those really practical steps in place so that, okay, if I am experience a binge urge, what do I do? Or if you binge, which you will do in recovery, you will binge many times in recovery, no doubt, is being able to have those tools to really take care of yourself in those moments that you're reducing that impact of the binge. And by that, I mean those shame spirals and judgment spirals we can
Mm.
often go in to after a
Mhm.
binge, and having that more supportive process of, okay, what do I actually need to take care of myself in this moment? So that's the very kind of practical side of unraveling those cycles. And then the
So
fifth
having like a plan
principle,
for
having, yes, yeah, really like step by step things, those very like tangible tools
Mhm.
that are really helpful and I think, are an important part of binge eating recovery. And then yes, this fifth one, all about being your authentic self. And I think this is another really big one for highly sensitive people and people who struggle with their sense of self-worth, because it's really easy to lose yourself in other people and what's going on around you. And maybe you live in a community where, I'm trying to think of an example, where people are really into kayaking. And so to try and fit in with that community, you take yourself on the weekend and you go kayaking with everyone, or, whatever the thing is. But that's not actually something that is you. That's not something that you enjoy. It's not something that lights you up. And it's about untethering from that. And likewise, maybe in a relationship, like we're talking about before, you can only be happy when that other person is happy and you're really emotionally entangled with them. It's really gathering yourself back to yourself and figuring out what is it that lights me up. Because when you're feeling happy and fulfilled and you're doing things in your life that you enjoy and that fuel you, you'll have less of this desire to then try and fill that void with food. So again,
Mm,
it's so it seems like it's not that related to food, but it really is. Like so many people have this experience of feeling lost and disconnected and like they don't know what they're doing in the world, they don't know who they are, and food is a source of comfort for that.
mm,
And
mm-hmm,
losing yourself in that, I'd be worthy if I looked a certain way. But when we are able to just be a little bit more true to ourselves and resource ourselves in that way, there's less of a need for
mm-hmm,
that.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is there, yeah, anything you want to
It's
say
such
on
a
that before?
primal, comforting thing too of the food because I'm sure it like in some way takes our body back to being nourished as an infant.
Yes. Oh my God, it absolutely does. I think we spoke about this last time,
Yeah.
and that is such, I think it's a really important thing for people to understand as well, is that food is comforting, food is
Mm-hmm.
emotional. It doesn't not need to be that way. Food is
Mm-hmm.
wonderful in that way. And
Mm-hmm.
it can soothe us and it can bring us joy and it can connect us to other people and we have memories tied up in food. Food is great for lots of reasons, including this.
Food is
But
great.
it is great. We love food. But it's when food is your only source of comfort or enjoyment or one of your primary sources of these things, that's not so helpful. So it's looking at, you know, is my relationship to food impacting other areas of my life? That's a really good way to look at it.
Mm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I think that's a great question to leave people with is my relationship with food impacting the rest of my life? And I can't believe it's already 10:30 here. I want to keep
Yes.
talking to you. Um, let me know if you want to do a part two. Totally down for that because there are things that
Yeah.
I would ask you to continue this question. Um, but to close things out for today, thank you so much for coming back to the show. And I think I was already doing closing questions back in 2023 when we had our episode, but sometimes our answers to these questions change. So I'm going to ask them to you again.
Okay.
And that first question is, what does self love mean to you?
Self-love to me in this moment means meeting myself where I'm at and really tending to what it is that I need in that moment. And I think in the past I would have n been quite judgmental of myself and my needs, and I would have really struggled with that. But it's having that more curious mindset as to, oh, okay, what is going on and what is it that I'm needing, and taking action from that place on those needs.
Mm,
Yeah.
hmm I love that. And what makes you feel the most grounded?
Getting outside. It's like the most basic answer, but it's
Yeah,
just
that might have been what
the
you said
most
last time.
it's the most true answer.
Yeah.
Just being outside and going for a walk and allowing myself to slow down and be in the elements. It's just the best thing ever. It's utter medicine. I don't know what I would do without my daily walks and being in nature. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Right
really it
before this call, I was sitting in my back porch and we have this, my back porch window is right here in my office, but we have this really big tree that shades the back porch.
Mhm.
I'm just sitting there looking at the tree and I'm like, like breathing in the fresh morning air. And yeah, totally agree with you. I wouldn't know what to do without nature. And it's great to have access to nature right
Mm.
outside of my door.
That sounds like a beautiful spot.
Yeah. Maybe one day we'll be podcast recording in my back porch.
That would be so lovely.
If you ever want to
Yeah.
visit America, you're welcome here.
Well, I would love to.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um, the second to last question I want to ask you is what's your favorite part about being a woman?
ooh. I want to say the receptivity of my body. I have
Mm,
no idea what I said last time. Um, but yeah, and that ties in again with that highly sensitive person thing. I
yeah.
think I'm just very much in this practice at the moment of being receptive and yeah, I think that's such a something that's really innate to women, something that's really part of our makeup as women is this receptivity to the world and what's happening around us. And maybe we get to experience that tenfold as highly sensitives. But
Mm, mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Mm. And then for everyone that's tuned in and who's still listening or watching, uh, let them know where can we connect with you, maybe share anything that you'd like to share about your work. And yeah, where would someone go from here if they want to keep connecting with you?
Thank you, Celia. So in my work, I go by binge free and worthy. My website is bingefreeandworthy.com. And if you resonate with what we've talked about today, I've got a free guide called The Highly Sensitive Woman's Guide to a Binge-Free Life. And in it, we go through what it is to be a highly sensitive person, what binge eating and binge eating disorder are, and this really highly sensitive approach to recovery. So that would be, I think, a really good place for you to start. I've also got, so I'm trying to move away from social media and I've got an email list that you'll be on if you sign up for this guide, where it's just these really short emails each weekday. I call them inbox reflections, just to really help keep you connected to this relationship with yourself and food in this really supportive way. So that's something I love doing, and I love connecting in that way with other people.
Beautiful. I'll be sure to link that in the caption or show notes. I saw that you've sent it to me on my scheduling app when we set this call up. Yeah. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. This was beautiful.
Yeah, I enjoyed this so much. Thank you, Celia.